Hey guys, tonight we slip into a quiet 1950s American suburb where the air smells of fresh-cut grass and the streetlights hum softly. You're standing on a tidy porch, the kind with a creaky swing when a sharp knock-knock cuts through the evening calm. It's not your door, but it's close to close. The sound feels wrong, like it's carrying a secret nobody wants to hear. This is the story of the man who knocked on every door in town, then vanished without a trace. Spoiler, you probably won't survive the curiosity this tale sparks. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you're listening from. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're in a place called Willow Creek, a postcard-perfect town somewhere in the Midwest, where kids bike to the soda fountain and neighbors wave like they mean it. It's 1953, and the world feels safe as Eisenhower's in office. Elvis is crooning on the radio, and the Korean War's just wrapped up. That's the mainstream fact. The armistice was signed on July 27, 1953, ending 3 years of conflict. But here in Willow Creek, the war is a distant murmur. Your focus is on that knock. It's not a friendly tap, not the milkman or a kid selling cookies. It's deliberate, almost mechanical, like someone's counting doors. You step off the porch, your sneakers scuffing the pavement, and follow the sound down Maple Street. The air's warm, but a chill prickles your neck. The man nobody knows his name, yet is a shadow at first. You catch a glimpse of him under a street lamp, tall, lean, in a dark coat that's too heavy for summer. He moves from house to house, knocking 3 times, pausing, then moving on. No one answers. Curtains twitch, but doors stay locked. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some folks swear he left a single penny on every doorstep heads up, like a calling card. Nobody knows why. You pick one up, the copper cool in your palm, and wonder if it's a clue or just pocket change. The town's already buzzing about him, though nobody's sure when he started. Was it last week? Last night? Time feels slippery here. You keep walking, trailing him past picket fences and rose bushes. The knocks echo, a rhythm that's almost hypnotic. You're not scared yet, but you're uneasy. Why is he doing this? Historians still argue whether he was a drifter, a prankster, or something else entirely. Maybe a ghost, maybe a warning. The debate's alive even now, decades later. You pass a diner, its neon sign flickering, and hear a waitress whisper to a cook. He's been at it all day. You want to ask her more, but the man's already turning the corner. You jog to keep up, your heart picking up speed. The street's quieter now. The house is darker. The dog barks once, then falls silent, like it knows something you don't. Let us lighten the mood for a second. Imagine if he was just the world's worst door-to-door salesman, pushing vacuum cleaners nobody wanted. Buy one, or I'll knock again. But no, this guy's not selling anything. Or is he? You notice the way the town feels off, like the air's too thick, the shadows too long. You're starting to think following him was a bad idea, but your feet keep moving. Another joke. Maybe he's practicing for the world's creepiest percussion band. Knock knock. Who's there? Nobody, apparently. You're alone now, or so it seems, as the man pauses at a house with a broken porch light. He knocks 3 times, always 3-oned. You swear you hear a faint hum, like static after each one. You're hooked now, aren't you? The mystery's got its claws in you. You're not just walking through Willow Creek. You're part of its story. The man's knocks are a puzzle, and you're dying to solve it. But here's the thing. Every step you take, every door he hits, pulls you deeper into something you can't quite name. The penny in your pocket feels heavier. The street lamps flicker and sync with his knocks. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you wonder if you'll ever hear silence again. Section 2, you're still in Willow Creek. The Midwest town where the man's knocks are starting to feel like a heartbeat you can escape. The penny from that first doorstep, remember that shiny little heads-up coin, sits heavy in your pocket, like it's whispering secrets you're not ready to hear. It's late afternoon now, and the sun's dipping low, painting the clapboard houses in shades of gold and shadow. You're not chasing the man anymore. You're just walking, listening as his knocks ripple through the neighborhood like stones dropped in a pond. The town's alive with whispers. You're about to dive into the rumors swirling around this stranger who stopped knocking. The air smells of baking bread and motor oil, a mix of cozy and mechanical that defines 1950s suburbia. You pass a group of kids playing hopscotch, Their chalk lines wobbly on the sidewalk. They're giggling, but their eyes dart toward the sound of a distant knock, dash knock, dash knock. One girl, pigtails bouncing, whispers to her friend, "Mama says he's a ghost." Her friend scoffs, but you catch her glancing over her shoulder. The mainstream fact here, in the 1950s. America was gripped by a post-war boom, with suburbs like Willow Creek popping up everywhere, over 1.5 million new homes built in 1953 alone. These were places of optimism, but also conformity, where anything strange stuck out like a sore thumb. And this man? He's the strangest thing Willow Creek's seen. You head toward the town square where the rumors are thickest. At the drugstore, a soda jerk in a paper hat leans over the counter, telling a customer, "Heard he's a communist spy, marking houses for some invasion." The customer, an older woman in a floral dress, clutches her purse and mutters, "Or he's cursed like something out of a radio play." Smirk radio plays were the Netflix of the 50s, full of spooky tales like Lights Out, but the quirky tidbit comes from a teenager slouched against a jukebox. He swears the man's knocks sound different on every door, like he's tapping out a code. "I listened," the kid says, "and it ain't the same rhythm twice." You raise an eyebrow. A code for what? The whispers keep piling up. At the barber shop, a man getting a shave says the stranger's been seen in other towns. Always knocking, always vanishing. "My cousin in Ohio swears he saw him last year," he adds, the barber's razor pausing mid-stroke. You're starting to feel the weight of it. All theories, stacking like firewood, ready to catch a spark. Historians still argue whether this man was a real person or a shared delusion, a product of Cold War paranoia or something older, folkloric, tied to the land itself. The debate's a tangle, with no clear answers. You step outside, the bell above the door jingling, and hear another knock, closer now. It's coming from a house across the square, where a woman in curlers peeks through her blinds, then yanks them shut. Okay, let us ease up for a second. Tame imagine if this guy's just really passionate about census data. Open the door, I need your household stats. Bet he'd be the worst party guest ever, knocking on the punch bowl. But the humor fades as you notice something. The town's rhythm is off. The usual chatter, neighbors gossiping, radios blaring, is quieter, like everyone's holding their breath. You walk past a church, its steeple sharp against the sky, and hear a preacher inside. His voice low, a warning, that's what he is. A sign we've strayed. You're not so sure. Maybe he's a warning, or maybe he's just a guy with a weird hobby. Joke number 2. What if he's training for the Olympic door-knocking team? Gold medal and creeping everyone out. You keep moving, drawn to the sound of another knock. The man's pace hasn't slowed, and neither has the gossip. By now you've heard he's a lost soldier, a debt collector, a prophet, even a time travel okay. That last one's probably the soda jerk's sci-fi obsession talking. But each rumor adds a layer to the mystery, like paint on a canvas you can't quite see. You pause at a park bench, where an old man feeds pigeons and mutters. He don't talk, don't smile, just knocks. You want to ask more? But a new knock pulls you away. This one's sharper, like it's meant for you. The penny in your pocket feels warm now, or maybe that's just your imagination. The day's fading fast, and the knocks are spreading. A net tightening around Willow Creek. You're not just a bystander anymore. You're part of this, caught in the town's growing unease. The rumors aren't just stories, they're a map, leading you deeper into the man's shadow. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you wonder if you'll hear him knock on your door next. Section 3, you're still weaving through Willow Creek. The penny in your pocket. To remember that heads-up coin from the first doorstep. Now a quiet talisman you can't stop touching. The sun's gone, swallowed by a twilight that paints the town in purples and grays. The man's knocks haven't stopped, and they're pulling you deeper into the streets, where shadows stretch like fingers across the pavement. You're not just following the sound now. You're tracking him, drawn to the way his dark coat blends into the dusk. The air's cooler, carrying the scent of damp grass and chimney smoke. Every knock-knock-knock feels like it's stitching the town into something new, something unsettling. The houses here are older, their paint peeling like secrets coming loose. You're on Elm Street, where the streetlights flicker, casting pools of light that don't quite reach the corners. The man's ahead, his silhouette sharp against a porch's glow. He moves with purpose, never rushing, knocking 3 times on each door before gliding to the next. The mainstream fact. In 1953, the Red Scare was at its peak, with Senator Joseph McCarthy's hearings fueling nationwide. Paranoia. Over 2,000 government employees were investigated for communist ties that year. Willow Creek's no exception. Suspicions in the air, and this stranger's knocking feels like a match held too close to dry tinder. You pause near a house where a radio crackles through an open window, playing Your Cheating Heart by Hank Williams. The music's mournful, but it's the quirky tidbit that grabs you. Some folks swear the man's knocks leave a faint mark on the doors, like a smudge of ash that wipes away clean. You squint at the nearest door, but it's too dark to tell. Is it a trick of the light, or something else? You're starting to notice other oddities. The way birds go quiet when he passes. The way your breath catches when you get too close. It's not fear, not yet, but it's close enough to make your skin prickle. The town's changing under his rhythm. You pass a woman in a housecoat, clutching a broom like a weapon, her eyes locked on the man as he knocks on her neighbor's door. He's been at it for hours, she whispers, more to herself than to you. You nod, but your focus is on him. Why doesn't he speak? Why doesn't anyone stop him? Historians still argue whether he was alone, eccentric, or part of a larger phenomenon. Maybe tied to urban legends that swept the Midwest in the 50s? Was he a man, a myth, or something in between? The question hangs heavy as you trail him, your sneakers silent on the sidewalk. Let's lighten things up. Imagine if he's just really bad at hide-and-seek. Found you? Oh, wait, wrong door. But the joke lands flat in your head because the man's not playing games. You're close enough now to hear the faint creak of his shoes, the rustle of his coat. Another joke. Maybe he's auditioning for a one-man band, percussion only. Knock, knock, who's there? Still nobody, but you're starting to feel like you're the one being watched? You pass a kid on a bike, his eyes wide. He don't look at you, the kid says, pedaling off. You frown. What does that mean? The knocks are louder now, sharper, like they're cutting through the dusk. You're at the edge of the neighborhood where the houses thin out and the trees grow thick. The man's still moving, his pattern unbroken. You notice something else. The pennies. You've seen a few more, glinting on doorsteps. Always heads up. You pick up another. Its weight identical to the first. Are they his? You're not sure, but they feel like breadcrumbs leading you somewhere you might not want to go. The third joke slips in. What if he's the world's most dedicated, lost and found guy? Anyone lose a penny? No? I'll keep knocking. You're deeper in now. The town's edge is blurring. The man's knocks are a metronome, steady and relentless, and you're matching his pace without meaning to. The shadows are longer, the air heavier, and you can shake the feeling that you not just following him, you being led. The streetlights are fewer here, and the darkness feels alive, like it's waiting for something. You glance at the penny in your hand, its surface catching the last of the twilight. For a moment, you think you see something etched into it, but when you blink, it's just Lincoln's face, staring back. The man knocks again, and you step forward, pulled by a sound you can't ignore. Section 4, you're deeper in Willow Creek now. The 2 pennies in your pocket, those heads-up coins from the doorsteps, clinking softly with each step, like they're trying to tell you something. The dusk has thickened into night, and the man's knocks are a steady drumbeat, pulling you through streets where the houses huddle closer together. The air is sharp with the scent of pine and coal smoke, and the streetlights cast jagged shadows that make you second-guess your own footsteps. You're not just trailing the man anymore. You're caught in the town's growing fear, a tension that's wrapping around Willow Creek like a noose. Everyone's locking their doors, and you're starting to understand why. You're on Cedar Lane, where the homes are modest but proud, their curtains drawn tight. The man's ahead, his dark coat swaying as he knocks 3 times. Always 3 on a door painted robin's egg blue. No one answers, but you see a shadow move behind the window, quick and nervous. The mainstream fact. In the 1950s, suburban America was obsessed with security. With over 80% of new homes fitted with deadbolts by 1953, a response to Cold War fears and rising crime rates, Willow Creek's no different. Every door's a fortress now, and this man's knocking is testing every lock. You linger near a mailbox, its flag raised like a tiny surrender. The quirky tidbit hits you. Some residents claim their dogs don't bark when the man knocks, just whimper and hide under furniture. You glance at a nearby yard, where a collie silhouette is pressed against a fence, silent as the grave. It's eerie, like the animals know something the humans don't. The fear's spreading, not just in whispers. Remember those rumors from the town square? But in the way people move. You pass a man in a fedora, hurrying home with his briefcase clutched like a shield. He's still out there, he mutters, not looking at you. You nod, but your eyes are on the stranger, who's already at the next house, his knuckles rapping out that relentless rhythm. The town's unraveling, and you feel it in your bones. You pass a woman on her porch, rocking in a chair that creaks louder than it should. She's clutching a rosary, her lips moving silently. "He won't stop," she says, her voice barely a whisper. You want to ask why she's so scared, but another knock pulls you away. Historians still argue whether the man's presence was a catalyst for Willow Creek's paranoia, or a symptom of it. Did he spark the fear, or was the town already a powder keg? The question lingers as you follow him, the night pressing closer. Let S break the tension. Imagine if he is just the world's most persistent pizza delivery guy. "Anyone order a large pepperoni?" "No." "Next house." But the humor fizzles fast. This guy's not delivering anything but dread. You're close enough now to see the way his hand moves, precise and mechanical, like he's done this 1,000 times. Another joke. Maybe he's practicing for the door-knocking world record. Guinness Book. Here he comes, terrifying one suburb at a time. But the fear's real, and it's not just the knocks. It's the way the town's turning inward, neighbors eyeing each other like strangers. You pass a group of teenagers huddled under a streetlight, their cigarettes glowing like tiny eyes. You frown, trying to catch what he means, but the man's already moving, his knocks echoing down the street. The third joke slips in. What if he's a time traveler stuck in a loop, knocking to find his way home? Okay, that's a stretch. But it's better than the alternative that he's something nobody can explain. You notice another penny on a doorstep, glinting under a porch light. You pick it up, its weight familiar, and slip it into your pocket with the others. 3 pennies now, all heads up. Coincidence? You're not so sure. The fear's a living thing now, curling through Willow Creek like fog. See it in the locked doors, the drawn blinds, the way a mother pulls her kid inside when the man passes. You're part of it too, your pulse quickening with every knock. The man's not slowing down, and neither are you, drawn deeper into the night. The pennies in your pocket feel heavier, like they're anchoring you to this moment. You glance at the house he's at now, its door unlatched, swinging slightly. For the first time, you wonder what happens if someone answers. The knock comes again, and you step closer, the darkness swallowing everything but the sound. Section 5. You're still threading through Willow Creek's darkened streets. The 3 pennies in your pocket, those eerie heads-up, coins jingling like a faint warning with every step. The night's deep now, the kind of black that makes you question shapes in the distance. The man's knocks are your guide, a steady knock-knock that cuts through the quiet like a blade. You're on Oak Avenue, where the houses lean in, their windows glinting like eyes. You're not just following him anymore. You're hunting for answers. And for the first time, you're close enough to see his face soar. At least you think you are. The town's fear, that tightening noose from Cedar Lane, is heavier now. You're about to glimpse the man who's unraveling Willow Creek. The air's thick with the scent of wet leaves and kerosene. A reminder of the town's sleepy routine, except nothing's routine tonight. You're near a house with a sagging porch, its curtains half open. The man's there, his hand raised to knock. The streetlight catches him, and you freeze. His face is ordinary, angular jaw, deep-set eyes, a fedora tilted low. But something's off, like a photo left too long in the sun. The mainstream fact. In 1953, the FBI's 10 most wanted list was a national obsession, with fugitives like bank robber Willie Sutton plastered on every post office wall. Willow Creek's whispering about this man being one of them, but you're not so sure. He doesn't move like a fugitive. He moves like he belongs to the shadows. You edge closer, your breath shallow. Quirky tidbit hits you. Some folks swear his face changes depending on who's looking like a mirror reflecting your own fears. A kid at the diner claimed he looked like his dead uncle. Preacher said he saw the devil. You blink. And for a second, his profile seems to flicker. But it's just the light, right? Your heart's pounding as he knocks 3 times, precise as Everon moves to the next house. You follow, drawn to the mystery of who or what he is. The pennies in your pocket feel like they're burning, and you wonder if they're tied to him, those coins you've been collecting like clues. The town's fear is a pulse now, sinking with his knocks. You pass a man in slippers, peering from his doorway, a flashlight trembling in his hand. "Who is he?" he mutters, but you don't answer. You're too focused on the stranger, whose face you can't quite pin down. Historians still argue whether he was a single person or a shared hallucination, a figure born from the era's anxieties, McCarthyism, nuclear dread, or something older, primal. Was he one man or many? The question gnaws at you as you trail him, the night swallowing the edges of the street. Let us lighten the mood. Imagine if he's just a really shy guy, practicing for a date. Gotta get the knock right before I ask her out. But the humor fades fast. This man's not wooing anyone. You're close enough to hear the faint rustle of his coat, the tap of his shoes. Another joke. Maybe he's a talent scout for the world's creepiest game show. Step right up, answer the knock, win a lifetime of nightmares, but the fear's too thick for laughs. You pass a woman at her mailbox, her eyes locked on the man. "He looked at me," she whispers, her voice cracking. You frown. She's the first to claim he made eye contact. What did she see? The knocks are sharper now, almost urgent. You're at the corner of Oak and Pine, where the houses are spaced farther apart, the darkness deeper. You catch another glimpse of his face as he pauses under a flickering street lamp. For a moment, he looks like someone you know, an old teacher, a neighbor, a face from a dream. You blink and he's just a stranger again, knocking on a door with chipped red paint. The third joke. What if he's a method actor, prepping for a role as the world's scariest mailman? Special delivery, pure dread. But the thought barely lands, because you're too busy studying him, trying to memorize his features before they slip away again. You pick up another penny from a doorstep. It's copper warm against your palm. For now, all heads up, all identical. They're not just coins anymore. They're pieces of a puzzle you're terrified to solve. The man's face, or lack of one, is the heart of it. You're not just chasing him now. You're chasing the truth, and it's slipping through your fingers like smoke. The knocks echo, pulling you to the next house, where a curtain twitches. Someone's watching, but it's not the man. He never looks back. You step forward. The penny's heavy, the night heavier. Just wonder if you'll ever see his face clearly, or if you even want to. Section 6, you're still in Willow Creek. 4 pennies in your pocket, those heads-up coins that seem to hum with secrets clinking, like a warning you can ignore. The night's grown colder, the air sharp with frost and the faint tumps of wood smoke. The man's knocks are louder now. It's a relentless knock-knock that feels like it's shaking the town's foundations. You're on Birch Street, where the houses are smaller, their yards cluttered with bicycles and forgotten toys. The fear from Oak Avenue, that suffocating dread, has boiled over, and the man's pace is faster, his knocks more insistent. You're caught in the rhythm, your pulse racing as the town teeters on the edge of panic. The streetlights are dim here, their glow barely touching the pavement. The man's ahead, his dark coat a smudge against the night. He knocks on a door with a faded wreath, the sound echoing like a gunshot. No one answers, but you hear a muffled shout from inside, a voice thick with fear. The mainstream fact. In 1953, mass hysteria was in uncommon. Think of the UFO panic in Roswell or the Seattle windshield pitting epidemic, where thousands claimed their car windows were mysteriously damaged. Willow Creek's caught in something similar, and this man's knocks are the spark. Feel it the way the air's charged, like a storm's brewing inside the town itself. You pause near a mailbox shaped like a tiny barn. It's paint-chipped. The quirky tidbit. Some swear the man's knocks get louder at houses where someone's sick or grieving, like he's drawn to sorrow. You glance at the house he's at now, its windows dark except for one flickering candle. Is someone hurting inside? You don't know. But the knock feels heavier, almost mournful. The panic's spreading. Remember that woman clutching her rosary on Cedar Lane? It's worse now. You pass a couple on their porch, whispering fiercely. He's everywhere, the man says, his voice tight. Can't sleep with that noise. His wife nods, her eyes darting to the street. The town's a pressure cooker, and you're in the middle. You follow the man, his knock's a metronome that's drowning out everything else. Kids aren't playing anymore. Windows are boarded, not just curtained. Historians still argue whether he was a deliberate provocateur or an unwitting trigger. Did he mean to drive Willow Creek mad? Or was he just a wanderer caught in the town's fever dream? The questions are not you can't untie as you trail him, the night pressing in like a living thing. You're close enough to see his hand, pale and steady as he knocks again. No pennies this time, but you check the doorstep anyway, half expecting another coin. It's eased the tension. Imagine if he's just really enthusiastic about neighborhood watch. Stay safe, folks. Knock, knock, lock your doors. But the joke's hollow. This guy's not protecting anyone. You're near enough to hear his breath, shallow and even, like he's not tired at all. Another joke. Maybe he's training for the world's creepiest marathon, one door at a time, but the panic's too real for laughs. You pass a teenager leaning against a fence, his face pale. He knocked on our door twice, he says, voice shaking. Twice. You frown twice. That's new. The man's pattern's always been 3 knocks, no exceptions. What's changing? The knocks are a tidal wave now, crashing through every street. You're at the edge of Birch, where the town starts to fray into open fields. The man's not slowing, but the town's unraveling. You see a group of men by a gas station, clutching baseball bats, talking about running him out. Their voices are low, angry, but they don't move. Fear's stronger than courage tonight? The third joke. What if he's a performance artist, turning Willow Creek into his creepy masterpiece? Critics rave. 5 stars for terror. But the thought barely registers, because you're too busy watching him, his knocks echoing in your skull. You find another penny, half hidden in the grass by a doorstep. 5 now, all heads up, all heavy. You slip it into your pocket, your fingers brushing the others. They're not just coins anymore, they're anchors, tying you to this man, this moment. Town's panic is your panic that knocks your heartbeat. You're not just following him, you're part of the chaos, swept up in a tide you can't escape. The man knocks again, and you step closer, the night alive with the sound. Somewhere a dog whimpers, and you wonder if the next knock will break something Willow Creek or you. Section 7, you're still trudging through Willow Creek. The 5 pennies in your pocket, those heads-up coins that feel like they re-carry in a curse clinking with every step. A reminder of the mystery you're tangled in. The night's at its deepest, a heavy blanket of black that muffles everything but the man's knocks. You're on Sycamore Lane, where the houses are older, their porches sagging like tired shoulders. The panic from Birch Street, that feverish dread, has reached a fever pitch. And the man's knocks dash knock dash knock dash knock dash are a hammer striking the town's fragile nerves. You're not just following him now, you're witness to a moment that could crack Willow Creek open as someone finally confronts the stranger. The air's bitter, laced with the scent of coal dust and frozen earth. The man's ahead, his dark coat catching the faint glow of a lone street lamp. He knocks on a door painted a faded green, the sound sharp enough to make you flinch. But this time, the door creaks open. A man in a flannel shirt, broad-shouldered and grizzled, steps out, his face a mix of anger and fear. "What do you want?" he bellows, his voice cutting through the silence. The mainstream fact. In 1953, community vigilance was a cornerstone of suburban life. With neighborhood watches forming across America to combat perceived threats, over 1,000 groups registered that year. This guy's playing hero, but you're not sure it's a good idea. You hang back, half hidden behind a mailbox, your breath fogging in the cold. The knocker doesn't answer. He stands still, his face shadowed by his fedora, and then, without a word, turns and walks to the next house. The flannel shirt guy stumbles after him, shouting, "Hey, I'm talking to you." But the knocker's already knocking again, 3 times like nothing happened. The quirky tidbit. Some say the man's shadow didn't move when he did, like it was stuck to the ground. You squint, trying to see, but the street lamp's too weak, and the shadows are a mess. Still, the idea sends a shiver down your spine, especially after that teenager's claim about the double knocks. Remember, that shift in pattern. The confrontation's a spark in a dry field. You hear windows creaking open, neighbors peeking out, their whispers sharp and frantic. He faced him, a woman hisses from a nearby porch. And nothing happened? The flannel shirt guy's back on his doorstep now, his shoulders slumped, like he's just realized he's fighting smoke. You feel the town's panic tightening, a noose pulling taut. Historians still argue whether this man was a physical presence or a psychological one. Did he exist in flesh and blood? Or was he a projection of Willow Creek's collective fear? The questions await as you step closer, drawn to the knocker's next move. Let's lighten the mood. Imagine if he's just really bad at charades. 3 knocks means, anyone? No guesses? But the humor's thin. This guy's not playing games. You're close enough to hear the faint tap of his shoes, the rustle of his coat. Another joke. Maybe he's a sleepwalker with a very specific route. Must knock. All doors. But the tension's too thick for laughs. You pass a kid peering from a window, his eyes wide. He didn't even look at him, he whispers, echoing that eerie comment from Elm Street about the man never making eye contact. What's he hiding? The knocks are relentless, a pulse that's driving the town to the edge. You're at the end of Sycamore, where the street dips into a cul-de-sac. The flannel shirt guy's gone inside, his door slamming shut, but the confrontation's left a mark. You see it in the way neighbors cluster now, muttering about doing something. Their voices are low, but there's an edge, like they're one knock away from snapping. The third joke? What if he's a door inspector, checking every hinge in town? This one's squeaky. Next, but the thought barely registers, because you're too focused on the man, his knocks echoing in your chest. You check a doorstep, almost by habit, and find another penny heads up, glinting in the dark. 6 now, each one heavier than the last. You slip it into your pocket, your fingers brushing the others, and feel a jolt like they're alive, tying you to this man this night. The confrontation's changed something. The town's not just scared, it's angry, and you're caught in the middle. The man knocks again, and you step closer, the darkness alive with the sound. The air feels electric, like something's about to break, and you're not sure if it's the town or you. Section 8, you're still weaving through Willow Creek, with eyes in your pocket, those heads-up coins that feel like they're pulsing with secrets, clinking softly. Constant reminder of the man who's turned this town upside down. The night's a heavy shroud, cold and thick, with the scent of frost and distant bonfires hanging in the air. You're on Laurel Drive, where the houses are spaced out, their yards swallowed by shadows. The confrontation on Sycamore Lane, remember, that flannel shirt guy's failed stand, has left the town buzzing, but the man's knocks. Knock, 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 keep pounding. And now you're stumbling across strange clues that hint at his purpose, or lack of one. The streetlights are sparse here, their light flickering like they're afraid to stay on. The man's ahead, his dark coat blending into the night, as he knocks on a door with a cracked window pane. The sound's sharp, almost impatient, and you notice something new. A small object on the doorstep, glinting faintly. You kneel, your fingers brushing the cold wood, and pick up a tarnished key, no bigger than your thumb. The mainstream fact. In the 1950s, lost-and-found culture was a big deal in small towns, with community boards full of misplaced keys, wallets, and Rings Willow Creek's newspaper ran a weekly column for it in '53. But this key, it's not ordinary. It's old, with intricate engravings, and it feels wrong in your hand, like it unlocks something better left alone. You slip the key into your pocket, next to the pennies, and keep moving. Quirky tidbit. Some folks swear the man leaves different items at different houses, keys, buttons, even scraps of paper with smudged writing. A kid at the gas station claimed he found a watch that ticked backward. He glanced at the doorstep he's at now, but there's nothing except a faint smudge, like the ash mark you heard about on Elm Street. The clues are piling up, but they're a jigsaw with no picture. You're starting to wonder if the penny 6 now, all heads a part of this, or if you're just clutching at straws, desperate for meaning. The town's a mess. It's panic a living thing. You pass a woman in a scarf, nailing a board across her door. He left something, she mutters, not looking at you. A ribbon, red as blood. You nod, your mind racing. Ribbon, key, pennies. What's he doing? The knocks are louder now, echoing through Laurel Drive like a warning. Historians still argue whether these gifts were intentional or random. Was the man marking houses for some purpose, or was he a drifter scattering junk? The debate's a fog as you follow him, the key in your pocket heavy, almost warm. Let's break the tension. Imagine if he's just the world's worst secret Santa. Ho, 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 here's a creepy key. But the humor's flat. This guy's not spreading cheer. You're close enough to see his hand, steady as ever, knocking 3 times. Another joke. Maybe he's an avant-garde artist, leaving found objects for a gallery no one visits. But the fear's too thick for laughs. You pass a man with a shotgun propped against his porch, his eyes locked on the knocker. Found a feather by my door, he says, voice low, black as night. You swallow hard, the key and pennies suddenly heavier. The knocks are a rhythm you can't escape, pulling you deeper into the night. You're at the edge of Laurel, where the street curves toward the town's outskirts. You find another clue, a scrap of cloth, torn and gray, tucked under a doorstep. You pick it up, its edges frayed, and stuff it with the key and pennies. The third joke. What if he's a time-traveling hoarder, dropping bits of his collection? Oops, lost another key. But the thought's a whisper, drowned by the knock at the next house. You're drowning in clues, now pennies, key, cloth, and those stories of ribbons and feathers. They're pieces of something, but the puzzle's too big, too dark. The town's not just scared, it's haunted, every doorstep a question mark. You see it in the boarded windows, the whispered prayers, the way a kid clutches his mother's hand as the man passes. You're part of it, your pocket a museum of strange relics. The key feels like it's burning, the pennies like anchors, the cloth like a warning. The man knocks again, and you step closer, the night alive with questions. You're not just following him now, you're chasing the truth, and it's buried in the clues he's leaving behind. But as the next knock echoes, you wonder if some truths are better left locked away. Word count. 1046, greater than awaiting continue. You're still weaving through Willow Creek? The 6 pennies in your pocket, those heads-up coins that feel like they're pulsing with secrets, clinking softly. Section 9, you're still in Willow Creek, the weight of 6 pennies, a tarnished key. An frayed scrap of cloth in your pocket, those cryptic relics from the Manus Trail, pulling you deeper into the night. The air's icy now, sharp with the scent of pine and something metallic like old blood. You're on Magnolia Lane, where the houses are few and far between, their windows black as if the town's given up. The clues from Laurel Drive, remember that strange key and the stories of ribbons and feathers, have only tightened the knot of dread in your chest. The man's knocks, knock knock, are a relentless pulse. And Willow Creek's at its breaking point, teetering on the edge of collapse under the weight of its own paranoia. The street's barely lit, the last street lamp flickering like a dying star. The man's ahead, his dark coat a shadow that seems to swallow light. He knocks on a door with peeling white paint, the sound so loud it feels like it's rattling your bones. No one answers, but you hear a faint sob from inside, quickly stifled. The mainstream fact. In 1953, psychological stress was a growing concern in America, with the term nervous breakdown entering common use. Over 10,000 hospitalizations for anxiety-related disorders were recorded that year. Willow Creek's living it, every knock pushing the town closer to a collective snap. You pause near a rusted mailbox, its door hanging open like a broken jaw, the quirky tidbit. Some residents claim their clocks stopped when the man knocked. Frozen at odd hours like 3:13 or 11:47, you glance at a house with a lit window, where a clock on the wall shows 4:22 unmoving. Your own watch feels heavy, but you don't check it somehow. You don't want to know. The paranoia's a virus now, spreading faster than the knocks. You pass a man in a coat, clutching a Bible, his eyes wild. He's the end, he mutters. Judgment's here. You nod, but your focus is on the knocker, who's already at the next house, his rhythm unbroken. The town's a powder keg, and you're standing in the sparks. You hear shouts in the distance, those men with baseball bats from Birch Street, maybe finally moving. Windows are nailed shut, doors double-bolted, but it's not enough. Historians still argue whether the man was a catalyst for chaos or a scapegoat for did he bring the madness, or did Willow Creek conjure him from its own fears. The question's a shadow as you follow him, the relics in your pocket heavy, almost alive. You're close enough to see his hand, pale and steady, knocking 3 times. There's no new clues this time, but you check the doorstep anyway, half expecting another penny or key. Let us lighten the mood. Imagine if he's just really into doorbell pranks but got stuck in the 50s. Ding-dong ditch. But make it creepy, but the humor's gone before it lands. This guy's not joking. You're near enough to hear his breath, steady and cold, like he's not human. Another joke. Maybe he's a door-to-door ghost, collecting unpaid haunt bills. Pay up, or I knock forever. But the paranoia is too thick for laughs. You pass a woman on her porch, her face pale. He knocked 4 times, she whispers, her voice trembling. 4, that's new first too. then 4, breaking his pattern. What's he building to? The knocks are a storm now, tearing through Magnolia Lane. You're at the town's edge, where the pavement crumbles into dirt. The man's not slowing, but the town's imploding. You see a group of teenagers, their faces lit by a cigarette's glow, whispering about stopping him. Their bravado's thin, though, and they scatter when the next knock comes. The third joke. What if he's a cosmic bureaucrat, auditing every door in existence? Your porch is out of compliance. But the thought's a whisper, drowned by the panic. You find another relic, a small, cracked mirror, half buried by a doorstep. You pick it up, avoiding your reflection, and add it to your collection. 7 pennies, a key cloth, and now this. They're not clues anymore, they're a chain. The town's breaking, and you're breaking with it. See it in the empty streets, the boarded homes, the way a child's tricycle lies abandoned in a yard. The knocks are your world now, each one a nail in Willow Creek's coffin. You're not just following him, you're part of the collapse. Your pocket a vault of unanswered questions. The mirror feels cold, the pennies heavier, the key like a promise of something awful. The man knocks again, and you step closer, the night alive with the sound. You're not sure what's worse, the town's unraveling, or the feeling that you're next. Section 10, you're still in Willow Creek, the weight of 6 pennies, tarnished key, a frayed cloth, and a cracked mirror in your pocket. Those haunting relics from the man's path dragging you deeper into the night. The air's so cold it bites, carrying the scent of damp soil and something sharp, like ozone before a storm. You're on the outskirts of town, where Magnolia Lane dissolves into a dirt path lined with skeletal trees. The paranoia from the town's breaking point, remember those boarded windows and whispered plans to stop him, has left Willow Creek a ghost of itself? The man's knocks, dash knock, dash knock, dash knock, dash are slower now, deliberate, as if he's reached a destination. You're at the final house, and this is where his presence vanishes, leaving only silence and questions. The last house is a crumbling Victorian, its paint chipped, its windows dark, except for one faint glow upstairs. The man stands on the porch, his dark coat still, his fedora low. Knocks 3 times, precise as always, and the sound feels final, like a door slamming shut in your mind. The mainstream fact. In 1953, missing persons cases were often underreported in small towns, with over 5,000 cases logged nationally, but many more ignored, especially if the person was a drifter. This man, whoever he is, fits that mold, no name, no trace, and now, as you watch, he steps off the porch and into the shadows, gone like he was never there. You blink, your breath catching, the quirky tidbit. Some say the final house S-door swung open on its own after his knock, though no one was inside. You stare at the door now, half expecting it to creak, but it stays shut, the wood weathered and still. Your heart's pounding as you approach the porch, the relics in your pocket heavy, almost throbbing. Did he vanish? You scan the dirt path, the trees, the field beyond, but there's nothing, no footsteps, no rustle of his coat. The knocks have stopped and the silence is worse, a void that swallows Willow Creek whole. The town's a husk now, its panic burned out. You hear distant voices, those teenagers from Magnolia Lane maybe, or the men with Bat's butt. They're faint, like echoes of a dream. You're alone with the house, its presence looming. Historians still argue whether the man disappeared naturally or supernaturally. Did he slip away into the night? Or was he something that couldn't stay? The debate's a tangle as you step onto the porch, your sneakers scuffing the warped boards. You check the doorstep almost by instinct and find another penny heads up, glinting in the moonlight. 7 now, each one a weight you can't shake. Let's lighten the mood. You imagine if he's just really good at hide and seek. You'll never find me, Willow Creek. But the humor's dust. This guy's not hiding. He's gone. You're close enough to touch the door, its surface rough under your fingers. Another joke. Maybe he's a magician, and this was his grand exit. For my final trick, I vanish. But the silence is too heavy for laughs. You glance at the window above where the glow's gone out, leaving the house dark. A kid's voice from earlier, remember, the one who said he never looks at you, echoes in your head. Did he look at the house? The absence of knocks is deafening. You're at the edge of everything's town. Night, reality. You find another relic, tucked in a crack on the porch. A single black feather, soft but cold. You add it to your pocket, the mirror and key pressing against it. The third joke. What if he's a cosmic delivery guy, dropping off his last package. Sign here for eternal mystery, but the thought's a whisper, drowned by the silence. You're drowning in relics: penis, key, cloth, mirror, feather, and they're not answers, they're chains, binding you to this moment. The house feels alive, watching you, and you wonder if the man's really gone, or if he's inside, waiting. The town's empty now, its streets silent, its people hiding or broken. You see it in the darkness, the way the trees lean in, the way the path stretches into nothing. You're not just standing on a porch, you're standing at the end of Willow Creek's story. The relics in your pocket are a map to nowhere, the man's disappearance a puzzle with no edges. You touch the penny, the newest one, and it's warm like it's been held too long. The man's last knock still echoes in your head, and you step back, the night swallowing the house, the town, and maybe you too. Section 11, you're still in Willow Creek, the weight of 7 pennies, a tarnished key, a frayed cloth, a cracked mirror, and a black feather in your pocket. Those eerie relics from the man's trail feeling like a chain binding you to the night. The air's sharp, thick with the scent of wet earth and something sour like decay. You're standing on the dirt path beyond the Victorian house, where the man's final knock, remember? That bone-deep sound? Left a silence that's louder than any noise. The town's a ghost now, its streets empty, its paranoia burned to ash. You wandered the quiet, searching for traces of the man who vanished, but the night's holding its secrets tight. The path stretches into darkness, flanked by gnarled trees that creak in the wind. You're alone, or so it seems, your sneakers crunching on gravel as you move back toward the heart of Willow Creek. The mainstream fact. In 1953, small-town America leaned heavily on oral storytelling. The local newspapers like Willow Creek Gazette printing readers submitted tales. Over 200 strange happenings columns ran that year. This man's story, whatever it was, would have been one of them. But you're finding no trace of him now, no coat. Oh, no footsteps. Not even a whisper of his knocks. The silence is a weight, pressing down on the town like a held breath. You pass the gas station, its neon sign dark, and spot a crumpled newspaper on the ground. You pick it up, half hoping for a clue. But it's just an ad for a new Chevy. The quirky tidbit. Some folks swear they heard a faint knock in their dreams the night he disappeared, like he was still out there, tapping on the edges of sleep. You shiver, wondering if you'll hear it tonight. The relics in your pocket feel heavier, the feather's softness, a contrast to the mirror's sharp edges. You're searching, but for what? Sign he was real, proof he wasn't. You check a doorstep, hold habit now, but there's no penny, no key, just dust. The town's emptiness is suffocating. You walk down Main Street, where the diner's closed, its windows reflecting your pale face. The panic's gone, replaced by a hollow quiet. Do you remember those men with bats? Those boarded windows? They're irrelevant now. Historians still argue whether the man's disappearance was a trick or a transcendence. Did he slip out of town? Or did he dissolve into something beyond? The question's a fog as you wander, the relics in your pocket like a map to nowhere. You pass the church, its steeple a black spike against the sky, and hear nothing, no prayers, no whispers. No. Even the preacher's given up. Let's lighten the mood. Imagine if he's just napping in a tree somewhere, dreaming of doors. ZZZ, knock knock, ZZZ. But the humor's brittle. This guy's not resting. You're alone, the streetlights flickering like they're mourning. Another joke. Maybe he's a cosmic librarian, checking out every door in the universe. This one's overdue. But the silence is too thick for laughs. You pass a kid's bike, abandoned in a yard, and remember the boy who said the man never looked at you. No, he's not looking at anyone, and the absence feels personal, like you've lost something you never had. You keep searching, drawn to the town square. You find a faint mark on a doorstep, a smudge, like the ash from Elm Street's Rumors. You touch it, and it's cold, gritty. No pennies, no feathers, but it's something. The third joke. What if he's a door-to-door void, collecting silence? Open up, I'm here for your quiet. But the thought's a ghost, fading fast. Got you drowning in the absence, the relics in your pocket a useless compass. The mirror catches a glint of moonlight, and for a second, you think you see a shadow in it, not yours. You shove it deeper, your heart racing. Willow Creek's a skeleton, its streets bare, its houses sealed. See it in the empty porches, the unlit windows, the way the wind moves without sound. You're not just wandering, You're chasing a trace, a proof that the man existed. The pennies are warm now, the key heavier, the feather like a whisper of something awful. You pause at the square's fountain, its water still, and stare into the dark. The man's gone, but his absence is a presence, a question you can't answer. You touch the newest penny, its surface slick, and wonder if the silence is his final gift or his final curse. Section 12. You're still wandering Willow Creek's hollow streets. The 7 pennies, tarnished key, frayed cloth, cracked mirror, and black feather in your pocket, those cryptic relics from the man's trail, feeling like a weight you can tea-shed. The night's a deep bruise, cold and heavy, with the scent of frost and faint gasoline lingering. You're back in the town square where the fountain's still water reflects a moon that's too bright for comfort. The silence left by the man's disappearance, remember that deafening void after his final knock, has turned Willow Creek into a graveyard of whispers. Now you're rediving into the theories and conspiracies that try to explain the man who knocked and vanished, each one a thread in a tapestry of fear and wonder. The square's empty, the diner and drugstore shuttered like they've given up. You sit on a bench, the wood cold through your jeans, and think about the stories you've heard. The mainstream fact. In 1953, the Cold War fueled wild conspiracies across America. With over 30% of people surveyed believing in secret government plots from communist infiltrators to alien cover-ups, Willow Creek's no different, and the man's knocking has become a magnet for every fear. You recall the soda jerk's whisper, remember him from the town square, about a communist spy marking houses. That's one theory, but it feels too neat, too grounded for the strangeness you've seen. You pull the cracked mirror from your pocket, its surface glinting. The quirky tidbit. Some locals swear the man was a time slip, a figure from another era trapped in '53 knocking to find his way back. A librarian claims she saw him flicker like a bad TV signal near the Victorian house. You tilt the mirror, half expecting to see him, but it's just your tired eyes staring back. The conspiracies pile up. He's a government experiment gone wrong, a ghost tied to the land, a demon testing the town's faith. Each theory's a stab at making sense of the pennies, the key, the feather, those relics that feel alive in your pocket. You're not sure what to believe, but the silence is pushing you to pick a side. The town's a shadow of itself. It's people hiding behind locked doors. You hear a distant cough, maybe one of those teenagers from Magnolia Lane, but no one's out here with you. A single candle burns, and you find a note on a pew, scrawled in shaky ink. He's still knocking somewhere. Your pulse quickens. Another theory? Or a warning? Let us lighten the mood. Imagine if he's just a prankster with a PhD in creeping people out. Thesis. How to scare a town in 10 knocks, but the humor's thin. This guy's not joking. You slip the note into your pocket next to the relics. Another joke. Maybe he's an alien, knocking to phone home. Earth doors, so primitive. But the theories are too heavy for laughs. You step outside, the candles glow fading behind you. A woman's voice from earlier, remember the one who said he knocked 4 times, echoes in your head. Was he signaling something, or just unraveling? The conspiracies are a web, each one stickier than the last. You walk past the barber shop. It's Pole still. And remember the man who said his cousin saw the knocker in Ohio. Another theory. He's a drifter. Moving town to town, leaving chaos? But the relics, the mirror, the feather don't fit that. The third joke. What if he's a cosmic janitor, cleaning up loose ends in the universe? This town's too noisy, time to knock. Ah! But the thought's a flicker, drowned by the weight of the unknown. You find a new relic, a rusted nail, half buried in the square's dirt. You add it to your collection, its sharp edge pressing against the cloth. Willow Creek's a puzzle with no solution, its streets a map of dead ends. You see it in the dark windows, the abandoned bikes, the way the air feels too still. You're not just exploring theories, you're trapped in them, each one a door the man might have knocked on. The relics are your only anchor, but they're raising more questions than answers. You touch the newest penny, its warmth unsettling, and wonder if the conspiracies are true, or if the truth is something no one has dared to guess. The night's watching, and you're alone with the silence, waiting for a knock that never comes. Section 13, you're still in Willow Creek. The 7 pennies, tarnished key, frayed cloth, cracked mirror, black feather, and rusted nail in your pocket, those relics that feel like fragments of a broken spell. Weighing you down as you move through the night. The air's thin, sharp with the scent of frost and old wood. And the town square's empty silence, remember that heavy quiet after the conspiracy swirled? Feels like a held breath. You're on Elm Street again, where the man's first knocks echoed. And now you're hearing how his story is hardened into a chilling local folktale, a legend that's already reshaping Willow Creek's soul. The street's a skeleton, its houses dark, their porches bare except for the occasional forgotten toy. You walk slowly, the relics in your pocket clinking like a faint heartbeat. The mainstream fact. In 1953, urban legends spread fast in small towns. It's often fueled by fear and isolation. Think of the Hookman tale, which scared teens across the Midwest that year. Willow Creek's crafting its own myth now, and the man who knocked is its heart. You pass the diner, its windows fogged, and imagine the stories being whispered inside. The knocker, they call him, a name that's already stuck. Kids will grow up checking doorsteps for pennies, scared to answer a late-night knock. You pause near a mailbox, its flag bent like a warning. The quirky tidbit. Some say the legend's already got a twist. Folks claim that saying knocker 3 times in a dark room makes your door rattle, like he's still out there. You smirk, but your fingers brush the cracked mirror in your pocket, and you're not so sure it's just a story. The folktale's taking root, fed by the relics you've collected, those pennies that feather the nail. You hear a faint murmur from a house, a mother telling her kid, "Don't open the door at night, not ever." The man's gone, but his shadow's growing, stretching across generations. The town's not just quiet, it's haunted by its own myth. You pass the barber shop, its pole frozen. Remember the man who mentioned his cousin in Ohio? Maybe this legend's already spreading beyond Willow Creek. Historians still argue whether the man was a real figure or a folkloric spark. Did he exist? Or was he a story the town needed to tell itself? Questions a whisper as you walk, the relics in your pocket, heavy, almost warm. You're part of the legend now, a witness to its birth. You check a doorstep, half expecting another penny, but find only a faint scratch, like the ash smudges from earlier nights. Let's lighten the mood. Imagine if the knocker's legend gets a cheesy B movie. Attack of the Door Knocker in 3D. But the humor's faint. This story's too raw. You're alone. The streetlights dim, their buzz the only sound. Another joke. Maybe kids will play knocker tag, daring each other to tap doors and run. But the legend's too heavy for games. You pass a kid's drawing, chalked on the sidewalk, a stick figure in a hat, knocking. It's crude, but it chills you, echoing that fleeting glimpse of his face on Oak Avenue. Was it ever real? A folktale's a living thing, reshaping Willow Creek. You reach the church, its door still ajar from your last visit, and find another trace of hymn book open to nearer. My God, to thee, a penciled note in the margin. He knocked here too. Your pulse quickens, the legend seeping into every corner. The third joke. What if the knocker's a future Halloween costume, complete with a fake penny? Trick or treat, I'm here to creep. But the thought's a flicker, drowned by the weight of the story. You slip the hymn book's page into your pocket, another relic, joining the nail and feather. Willow Creek's becoming its legend, its streets a stage for the knocker's tale. You see it in the empty yards, the locked doors, the way the wind carries a faint tap, isn't real. You're not just walking, you're carrying the myth. Your pocket a shrine to its pieces. The pennies are hot now, the key a promise, the mirror a warning. You touch the feather, its softness unsettling, and wonder if the legend's truer, if it's truer than the man himself. The night's alive with the story, and you're its keeper. Lost in a town that's already half forgotten, waiting for a knock that's now a memory. Section 14, you're still drifting through Willow Creek. The 7 pennies, tarnished key, frayed cloth, cracked mirror, black feather, rusted nail, a torn hymn book page in your pocket, those relics that feel like shards of a shattered truth, heavier with every step. The night's a cold veil laced with the scent of damp leaves and something sharp like static. You're on Maple Street, where the knocker's legend, remember, that chilling folktale taking root, feels like it's seeping into the pavement. The town's silence is a canvas, and now you're discovering echoes of similar knocking stories resurfacing decades later, as if the man's shadow never truly left. The street's desolate, its houses sealed tight, their windows reflecting a moon that's too pale. You walk slowly, the relics clinking like a faint warning. The mainstream fact: urban legends often resurface in cycles. Stories like the vanishing hitchhiker documented in over 40 states by the 1980s, evolving with each retelling. Willow Creek's knocker is no exception. You've heard whispers maybe from that note in the church that he's still knocking somewhere. But now you're catching fragments of new tales. In the 70s, a town in Iowa reported a stranger knocking at dusk. In the 90s, a Kansas suburb buzzed about pennies on doorsteps. Each story mirrors Willow Creek's, like ripples from the same stone. You pause near a street lamp, its light flickering like it's nervous. The quirky tidbit: some modern stories claim the knocker's knocks come through electronic static on a radio. 3 taps in a phone's dead air. A teenager in 2005 posted online about hearing knocks in her headphones, no one at her door. You touch the cracked mirror in your pocket, its edges sharp, and wonder if the relics connect to these echoes. Are the pennies 7 now? All heads up showing up elsewhere? You check a doorstep, half expecting another, but find only a faint mark. Like the ash smudges from Elm Street's early nights, the town's a relic itself, frozen in its myth. You pass the diner, its sign creaking, and think of the conspiracies from the square communist spy, time slip demon. These new stories add layers. A 2010s podcast claimed the knocker was a glitch in reality, tying him to quantum theories. Historians still argue whether these later tales are inspired by Willow Creek. Soar independent did the knocker's legend spread, or is the knocking a universal fear? The question's a thread as you move, the relics in your pocket warm, almost pulsing. You're not just walking, you're tracing a pattern that stretches beyond 1953, beyond this town. Let's lighten the mood. Imagine if the knocker's got a TikTok now, knocking in 15-second clips. Hashtag creepy vibes, like and follow. But the humor's faint. These stories aren't viral stunts. You're alone, the street empty, the air too still. Another joke. Maybe he's a multiverse door-to-door salesman, pitching fear across dimensions. But the echoes are too real for laughs. You recall the librarian's story, remember her time slip theory, and wonder if the knocker's slipping through time, tapping doors in 5375, 2025. The hymn book page in your pocket feels heavier, its note he knocked here to a bridge to these later tales. The modern stories are a maze, each one eerier than the last. You reach the edge of Maple, where the town fades into fields. You find a new relica, small, smooth stone, cold and gray, half buried by a fence. You add it to your collection, its weight settling next to the feather. The third joke: what if he's a cosmic DJ remixing knocks across decades, dropping beats since 53, but the thought's a whisper, drowned by the stories. In 2020, a Reddit thread described a man in a dark coat knocking in a gated community, leaving a single penny. Your pulse quickens. Your pennies, are they part of this? Willow Creek's a ghost, but its legend's alive, echoing in towns you'll never see. You see it in the dark streets, the locked doors, the way the wind carries a faint tap you swear isn't there. You're not just carrying relics. You're carrying a story that's outgrown its birthplace, linking you to strangers decades away. The stone's cold, the penny's hot, the key a promise you're scared to keep. You touch the mirror, avoiding its surface, and wonder if the knocker's still out there, knocking in another time, another place. The night's a web, and you're caught, waiting for an echo that might find you yet. Section 15, you're still in Willow Creek, the 7 pennies tarnished. Key frayed cloth, cracked mirror, black feather rusted nail, hymn book page, and smooth. Stone in your pocket, those relics that feel like pieces of a puzzle with no solution, clinking softly as you stand at the edge of town. The night's a fading dream, its air heavy with the scent of dew and distant smoke. You're on the dirt path where Maple Street dissolves into fields. Where the knocker's legend, remember those modern echoes from Iowa to Reddit. Feels like it's dissolving into mist. The town's silence is a weight, and now you're reflecting on the man's enigma, letting it drift into a quiet unknown as the stars begin to fade. The field stretches before you, its grass silver under the moonlight. You're alone, The Victorian house where his final knock landed now, a dark silhouette behind you. The mainstream fact. In 1953, unexplained phenomena often went undocumented, with small towns like Willow Creek burying strange tales to preserve normalcy. Over 60% of police reports from that year lacked follow-ups on odd cases. The knocker's story, with its pennies and feathers, is one of those loose ends, a mystery that slipped through the cracks of history. You touch the stone in your pocket, its cold surface grounding you, and wonder if the man was ever meant to be understood. You sit on a fallen log, the wood damp against your hands. The quirky tidbit. Some old-timers, years later, claimed they found pennies in their home's under pillows, in drawers long after the knocker vanished, like he'd left pieces of himself behind. You check your pocket, counting the 7 pennies again, their warmth unsettling. Are they still his? The relic's mirror, key nail, feel like a story you're not ready to finish? You look out at the field, where fog is curling low, and feel the enigma settling, not solved, but softened, like a song fading out. Willow Creek's a memory now, its streets and fears swallowed by the night. You think of the conspiracy's time slip, ghost glitch, and the folktale that's outlived them all. Historians still argue whether the knocker was a man or a moment. Did he walk these streets, or was he the town's shadow given form? The question's a whisper as you stand, the relic's heavy, almost alive. You're not chasing answers anymore. You're letting the mystery be, letting it drift like the fog. The silence is gentle now, not oppressive, and you feel the night loosening its grip. Let's lighten the mood one last time. Imagine if the knocker's just on vacation, knocking on doors in some cosmic Airbnb. Great view, terrible neighbors, but the humor's soft, like a sigh. It's another joke. Maybe he's retired, teaching a knocking 101 class to baby ghosts. The thought fades as you walk, the field rustling. The third joke. What if he's a poet, and every knock was a syllable in an unfinished verse? You smile. But the relics in your pocket, the feather, the cloth, keep you tethered to the unknown. You're not scared anymore, just weary, ready to let the story rest. You find one last relic, a tiny glass bead, glinting in the grass. You pick it up, its surface cool, and add it to your collection. 9 relics now, each a piece of Willow Creek's heart. The man's enigma is a tide pulling back, leaving you on the shore. You see it in the fading fog, the quiet stars, the way the town feels like a dream you're waking from. You're not just reflecting. You're saying goodbye to the knocker, to the fear, to the questions. The pennies are still warm, but they're not burning anymore. You step forward, the path endless, the night endless, too. Wind down, the fog thickens now, wrapping you in a soft, cool embrace, like a blanket pulled tight. You're walking away from Willow Creek, the town's edges blurring, its streets and doorsteps fading into memory. The relics in your pocket, pennies, key, mirror, feather, nail, cloth, hymn, stone, bead are quiet, their weight a gentle reminder of the journey. You don't need to solve the knocker's mystery anymore. It's enough to carry it, to let it settle into your bones like a lullaby. The stars are dimming, the sky softening to a deep indigo, and the world feels slower, kinder, ready to cradle you. You imagine the field stretching forever, its grass whispering secrets that don't need answers. The knocker's knocks, those sharp knock-knocks, are distant now, a rhythm that's become a hum, then a sigh. You're safe here, in this quiet space between stories, where fear melts into wonder. The relics are yours, not a burden, but a gift, each one a star in the constellation of Willow Creek's tale. You breathe deeply, the air clean, the night forgiving. Let the mystery drift, let the town sleep, let your eyes grow heavy. The path fades, the fog closes in, and you're ready to rest, wrapped in the silence of a story that's done, for now. Sleep well, dreamer.